What's up? This Tiffany. I'm here live in the Fed. So I just want to show y'all something, okay? Because I'm over here at Piedmont. So I just want to show you this because this is very important. This dealing with Washington, Booker T. Washington, right? And it says former slave principal of Tuskegee Institute and author of Up From Slavery, Washington delivered the Atlanta Exposition address on September 18th, 1895 at the site, the former auditorium of the Cotton States and International Exposition. Washington delivered this address at the exposition inauguration before a segregated audience, and in an unprecedented departure from regional custom, he shared the platform with Charles Collier, president of the exposition. In 1894, Washington had joined Collier and other supporters of the exposition in an appearance before the House Committee on Appropriation. Together, they secured a $200,000 appropriation from Congress. In addition to serving as a lobbyist for exposition, Washington was also an exposition commissioner and supervised the construction of the Negro Building, the exposition site for African American exhibition, formerly located near the 10th Street entrance to Piedmont Park. And alumnus of Hampton Institute and president of the National Negro Business League, Washington became a national leader because of the interracial compromise he proposed in the Atlanta Exposition address. So this is very important because this area right here, this whole little area, was where they had the auditorium at, right? And that big old landfill right over there, okay, that's where they host many games and many activities over there. So they had like football activity. Like I said, over here they had the Negro building, say Negro women building and all that. So so it's very important because Booker T. Washington played an important role in the Black history of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? He played a very vital role in it. So I just wanted to come over here and share this with you guys. But let me see what else I can share while I'm out here. Okay, watch this. So, let me see. There's this little statue right here. Let me see what this little statue right here say. So it says, cease firing, peace is proclaimed. Okay, so I think this was also like the battleground at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, Gate City Guard, Captain G. Harvey Thompson. All right. So I think this was also, a battleground at one point. But I could be wrong. Yeah, but this honoring the soldiers during the Confederate time period. Alright, so right here, it talk about race and reconciliation, right? You see this right here? The Confederate and Union veterans shake hands at 75th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, symbolizing reconciliation between two former foes. And you see the exhibit right here? The District of Columbia exhibit in the Negro Building during the 1895 Cotton States and International Exposition. So let's see what they talking about right here. It said the reconciliation movement focused on repairing selectional animosity after the Civil War. To achieve this, Southern states demanded that pre-war society be restored. The music going on in the background. But anyway, the reconciliation movement focused on repairing secessional animosity after the Civil War. To achieve this, Southern states demanded that the pre-war society be restored with white men return to social and political power. To end this, in 1877, the U.S. soldiers stationed in the South were removed. They had been present during Reconstruction to ensure African Americans' voting rights and safety. And it says racial segregation soon became law. Georgia legislators argued that emancipation eliminated slavery but did not guarantee citizen rights. At the same time, African Americans fought to regain and expand Reconstruction era political rights and secure economic and social equality. So in 1896, the U.S. Supreme Court heard the case Plessy versus Ferguson. This case argued equal protection for all citizens based on the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. In its ruling, the court decided that segregation law were constitutional and African Americans were provided separate but equal alternatives. In reality, alternatives were usually non-existent or inferior. This ruling was not overturned until the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision. So it says, white Southerners who felt oppressed by black empowerment during Reconstruction welcomed reconciliation, naming this period redemption. Segregation was legal mechanism to enforce race-based inequality. In addition, blacks' rights were suppressed with lynching and other forms of physical violence. In Atlanta, the race riot of 1906 is the most infamous example. And it says, despite these challenges, African Americans created economic and educational institutions while fighting for full citizenship rights. These efforts demonstrate solidarity as well as internal disagreements about the meaning of progress. So one example of this was the divergent and sometimes adversarial approaches of Booker T. Washington and Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. So it says, a famous event demonstrating this was the debate surrounding Washington's Atlanta Exposition Address. Washington gave this address near the spot during the 1895 Cotton States and International Exposition. So the exposition attracted nearly 800,000 people and was hosted in what is now Piedmont Park. Despite the event being largely segregated, African Americans had a significant presence. Arguably the most prominent black man in America, Washington stated that African Americans should focus on economic empowerment rather than social integration. So Du Bois, a leading educator and civil rights activist, fought for the vote and full social inclusion. He refuted Washington's position and named his speech the Atlanta Compromise. So Du Bois was a professor at Atlanta University, one of the historically black colleges and universities established on the west side of Atlanta after the Civil War. He also founded the Atlanta School of Psychology and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. All right. And you know, it's funny because Du Bois don't get his credit, you know, for what he have done in the black community. And of course, you rarely hear much about Booker T. Washington. Okay. But here's the thing. So Booker T. Washington was more so focused on social, he was more focused on economic empowerment for African Americans, whereas Du Bois was focused on social inclusion and voting right, you know what I'm saying? So Booker T was like, look, we need to stay separated and focus on building up our economy for our community. Whereas Du Bois said, well, you know what, segregation is not going to work because that's going to hinder us, so let's just integrate and let's, you know, start voting so that way we can have the adequate resources. Anyhow, so today, August 13th, is the Pan-African Flag Day, right? Okay, which was adopted on August 13th, 1920 by Marcus Garvey. Okay. Anyways, Marcus Garvey, when he first came to the United States, he really wanted to meet Booker T. Washington. But Booker T. Washington passed away by the time he got here. Okay. So, because Booker T was one of his biggest influence, he was the reason why that Garvey started getting on the path of about, you know, focusing on African people throughout the diaspora and throughout the continent. Okay, so yeah, he was that reason. Let's see what else we can find over here. So I'm just out and about right now, but I just wanted to share that with y'all. Let's see. See what else we can find over here. Okay, so this area is called the Peace Momentum. Let me just try to. Hold on, let me turn this around. How do you turn this thing around? Oh, okay, here you go, right here. I see it. All right, so right here, so this little statue right here is in 1857, 100 prominent Atlanta men formed the Gate City Guard of Atlanta as a volunteer militia. Its members were among the first to enlist the Confederate Army when the Civil War began in 1861. The militia disbanded after its enlistment period ended in 1862, but many members fought with other units in the Confederate Army until the war ended in 1865. In 1877, the Gate City Guard was reconstituted immediately after the end of Reconstruction to resume militia service and promote what they deemed the virtues of the Old South. All right. So this statue is supposed to represent the peace monument. Okay. All right. So it says in 1879, the Gate City Guard embarked on a peace mission through Northern City intended to build goodwill and reconcile ongoing selectional differences. At the time, many white Southerners viewed the war through the lenses of lost cause mythology. That mythology claimed that despite defeat in Confederate cause was morally just. Union segment initially regarded secession as treason. However, feeling threatened by rising black and immigrant population, white Northerners increasingly saw native-born white Southerners as similar to themselves with common heritage and Anglo-Saxon values. Like white Southerners, they passed segregationist laws. In this context, the Guard was embraced by many Northerners as brothers during the peace mission, which they considered a success. You heard that part, right? You read that part. They felt threatened by the black and immigrant population. They felt threatened. So the white Southerners and Northern Southerners came together because they like, we got to come up with some coalition because, you know, the black population is increasing and all. That's funny. So, and it says this peace monument was dedicated on October the 10th of 1911 as a tribute to the 1879 peace mission celebration, including Confederate veterans as well as 3,000 members of the military regiments from Virginia, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. Playing remarks from the ceremony published in the Atlanta Constitution focused on the theme of reconciliation and common heritage. Those remarks focus on one important outcome of the Civil War, reunification of the country, but ignored the other important outcomes, the liberation of 4 million enslaved African Americans. The inscription of this monument promotes a reconciliation narrative centered on white veterans. It excludes all African Americans, of which nearly 200,000 served in the U.S. Army. It describes the reunion of the states as prosperous and recognizes the peace mission cause as national fraternity, and ignoring the acceptance of segregation and white supremacy by both Southerners and Northern population. This is what it says now. This monument should no longer stand as a memorial to white brotherhood. Rather, it should be seen as an artifact representing a shared history in which millions of Americans were denied civil and human rights. All right, so we thought. Yeah, so we thought. It sounds good in the book, don't it? It sounds really good in the book. All right. Let's see. Let me see what else we gonna find. So as you can see, that doggone monument was really about the white folks coming together, the white Northerners and the white Southerners coming together, and they felt threatened by the population of black people coming in. So they built that monument to bring about reconciliation and identify themselves as the Anglo-Saxons as one heritage, you know, the common heritage. All right, so let's see what else we gonna find over here. The last meter, sculptor Eno, celebration of the 1996 Centennial Olympic athletes, gifted by Acid Power Bar. All right, let's see what else. So this whole park at one point was an exposition where they had like hosting different events like games, you know, conferences. You know, there was Negro women building over here. It was an auditorium where Booker T. Washington did his famous speech. Yup. And I honestly believe that this used to be a battleground. Like, I honestly believe that this whole area was a battleground at one point. So if y'all ever get a chance to study about the Reconstruction era and study about the Civil War and all of that, and what is it really about? So the Civil War was really about the beef between northern whites and southern whites. That's what it was really about, the beef between two white folks. So next time somebody comes talking that black on black crime shit to you, and how black people fight each other and all that shit, you better tell them, well, they need to go look up the history about the Civil War. What was the Civil War really about? What was the Civil War about? White folks versus white folks. That's what it was about. The northern white folks versus the southern white folks. And they had to reconcile their differences afterwards, after they destroyed each other's town. Now, check this out. Are we going around destroying each other's town? Are we going around burning up the whole city? Are we burning up the whole state? No. We're not doing it now. Our people, they might go to each other's neighborhoods and they might fight or they might shoot each other, but you will not hear about, you know, we burned up our whole entire city, or we burn up the whole entire state and we have to go through the process of reconstruction. That's what these white folks did. So the Civil War was about the northern whites not getting along with the southern whites. You know what I'm saying? And they was having an intense beef with each other to the point where they end up having this war and they destroy each other's town and cause a lot of suffering. But you know, black people, yes, they fought in the Civil War because they felt like that was the only way they were going to be able to gain freedom, if they fall into the Civil War, you know. But I'm just saying, just ask yourself, you know what I'm saying, just do your homework and do your research about the Civil War, and then think about what the Civil War was really about. So if you don't call that gang banging and shit, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. Because maybe you ain't pay attention to that in school. Or maybe you ain't studied in depth about it. Or maybe you ain't think hard and long enough about it. Man, listen. Listen. Boy, today, I think, you know, it was a blessing that I came outside. I really wanted to go out and do something. You know what I'm saying? I was looking forward to doing an actual event. You know what I mean? That's why I was looking forward to doing an actual event or whatnot. But, you know, the event got postponed today. So it's a good thing I'm out here because I can get some time to actually, like, go and look up historical information and do some research. You know what I'm saying? And just talk about some, you know, history, or share some information regarding to, you know, Atlanta history. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Georgia was the battleground for the Civil War. You know what I'm saying? Along with other states, you know, because it was part of the 13 colonies. Okay? But anyways, I'm about to go ahead and log off of here. And I'm going to check in with y'all later. So y'all take it easy on yourself. Peace and power, elevation. It's your girl, Tiffany. And I'm just about to go grab me something to eat. And I might come back and do some more videos. All right, peace.